Hey, good morning, everybody. Nice to see you, friends. I just wanted to jump on today and give an update of how my 1980 project is going. Um, Plus some thoughts on some things that are going on just even within the 80 project, but just also listening to other podcasts out there and people talk in chat rooms and stuff. So some ideas I have and some things that were out there rolling around my head. So let's jump right in and start out with the 1980 project and where am I? So right now I am on in the middle of January 15th. Um, it's been a blast, first of all. Just playing all these different sports, playing all these different games. It's really hitting exactly what I was looking for. If you haven't heard me talk about this before, but kind of ran into a spot where I was looking at this huge inventory I have of games and seasons and going, but any of you who have that know that feeling of, I'm never going to get to all that. Why did I buy all that? Um, and and that's actually one of the subjects I want to talk about, which is really kind of collection. Um, I see my library. I don't know how many I have now, 40 plus vendors, well over, I think I'm getting close to 400 different seasons within those vendors. I see some of that as a collection. As a kid, we used to collect baseball cards and all the different cards that were out there for sports. We had a collection. So some of this I see just as a collection. I have to see it that way because I'm just never going to get to it all. So I kind of play that off as that. But how do I get to some of this stuff and still feel like I'm progressing? I have never been able to do the one-offs. Hey, just played the 1975 World Series. I don't know why. For me to do that, I got to replay the whole 1975 season, then we'll get the World Series. That's just been how I've been. I have evolved over time because I used to be just baseball, really just baseball, nothing else for a long, long time. I dabbled with a couple of basketball, I dabbled with a couple of football, but that was really it. And like most of you, don't really jump into the basketball or football too much because back in the day, because it just took too long to play them. So didn't really do too much solitaire stuff with that. Plus, those games back then weren't great for basketball. Was okay. Football was definitely not good for solitaire back when I grew up. Now present day, definitely playing all of them. And this 1980 project, I'm going to use the word forced me to branch out and try other stuff. And I have completely enjoyed it. It's branched out for me to look out there and see what else is out there, what other games are available, what those games are like, do reviews. Not me doing the reviews, but me watching the reviews on those games, and then starting to collect those and pull those in so I can use them for this project. So that's been a lot of fun. That's kind of reinvigorated me. So here I am, 15 days in. I have tried to play every sport that happened in the January 1980s, I've relied on AI, which I'm going to talk about later or a lot during this, to really kind of set up my schedule, and I found that that's really been problematic because AI just makes way too many mistakes. It's had to really force me to go back and really, be the input source, which is what makes AI great. You have to have a fantastic input source, your prompt and data. You cannot rely on AI to store data. You cannot rely on AI to obtain data for you. You have got to treat it like a the child, that's not even the best word for this. You have to feed it. You have to feed it all the information. And even then, after all that, after you feed it all that information, you've still got to double check what it does. What AI does great is just provide nice formatting, nice grouping, great ideas to bounce off back and forth, and graphics when they work. And that's a huge asterisk next to that. So going back, I'm bouncing around, sorry, but just whatever comes into my brain, thinking of and thrown down here. So back to the 1980 schedule. I have, let me put my schedule up on the screen. There we go. Yeah, so the tab was. Maybe that. Okay. All right. So okay, there we go. So here is, again, I tried to use AI in the beginning to help me track what I've done, what's coming up, all that. It doesn't work. Do I think I could get it to work? No, because it doesn't store. It doesn't store well. It's not a storage device, and you'll lose your data, and it gets confused real quick with real life and your replay. So using it for storage, just in my opinion, and I hope I'm wrong, because I would love that someone can show me that it will over a long period of time, even a short period of time. But I just found so many mistakes that I just couldn't. So I'm now manually keeping it and have been throughout the process. So what I did was list out every sport. You can see them here. Let me try to pop this. Let's drag it out a little bit here. If it'll feel a little better. Okay. All right. So anyway, hopefully you can see it. What I did was keep a tally of all the sports I'm playing. These are all the sports that I hope you play. And I say that because I've already ran into some problems of sports that I would have loved to give a shot, but I couldn't really find a game that would do the way I want to do. I don't want video games. I'm not looking to, go driving a race car and it's fun, but it's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to do a replay. So I found that hard to find an F1 game that worked. I found a couple F1 games. None of them really struck me as something I'd want to do. So I've kind of tabled that for right now. I may come back to it. But you can see the main ones, NHL, that's definitely on its way. I'm already on the 16th of January. That's been fun. Been using Action PC for that because when I first started this, it was the only season that I had on tap right away that I could use. So I jumped into that. My challenge now with that, because AI can't keep any stats long term, I'm finding it impossible to bounce around. And that stinks because Action PC is not a game like Digital Diamond or Replay Basketball, which I really love, that allows you to just input the results. So with those type of games, you're able to use any input source. Action PC, unless I'm wrong, if I am, please tell me. Action PC, you've got to use Action PC's results. So that stinks for this. So had I done it again, I think that I would have used the green sheet. I always get that wrong. Mike Ignatowski's tool to do this. My challenge, let me also add with this. My challenge here was I'm starting on January 1, 1980. And of course, hockey and basketball games, their season is 79 to 80. And I didn't want to go all the way back, and start playing in October. So I used Action PC to also simulate all those games up to January 1. So again, it just locked me into Action PC for those games because of that reason. And so hence that's where I am. But when I get to the 1980 basketball seasons and NHL seasons, I will definitely be using Mike's tool so that I can use Red Ice and other games, tons of other games I have. I have pretty much collected now every hockey game that I can think of on the tabletop that I want to play. And that's exciting. So I can't wait to get into like 40-minute quick decks. Again, love that game. And all those for hockey. So that's kind of the thought there. Again, I go off on tangents. Apologize. All right, so and the NCAA college basketball has been a ton of fun. Again, Action PC, and the reason I used Action PC here, not only because of all the reasons I just said, only one I could find was college basketball. And this has been just a tons of fun. And I've just been picking out a game or two a day meaning, like January 15th, January 14th, blah, blah, blah. And playing them. And I picked out wild games to play. And it's been fun because, when I ever play, I was just saying earlier how I don't like one-offs. Well, here I am doing one-offs, but it's within my project. So, I'm playing crazy games like, Lamar against, Duke or something. And it's just fun. It's fun grabbing these players that I remember slightly. 1980, I was a freshman in high school, I think. Maybe I might have been in junior high, probably junior high, Ohio, middle school. But anyway, I remember some of these college players, and that goes for everything on here. This is basically my sweet spot for the 1980s, late 70s, 80s. Definitely my sweet spot of knowing the players on teams for the sports that I followed as a kid. So it's been fun to grab those out of there and just say, oh, I remember this guy, and so on and so forth. So that's been a lot of fun to play, and excited to continue to wind that all the way down to March Madness. That would be a lot of fun. The NBA, loved it because I loved the NBA as a kid. So right now, I'm still finishing up. I just get ready to start the 15th of January. I got a few games. It looks like 6 for Tuesday. So I'll be doing that. Bowling, something I didn't think I would play, but I thought, why not? Play games makes an awesome bowling game, I was told. So jumped in there and grabbed it, and man, was it fun! It was fun. I did the Showboat Classic, which I believe was in Las Vegas, and Charlie Tapp won that. It was a lot of fun. I think I had 2, maybe 3 guys roll 300s in the tournament. But I also had a lot of guys rolling really low scores. So I need to make sure I'm playing that right. And I was getting a lot of 150s. Well, not a lot of 150s, a lot of 170s, 180s. It seemed weird, but the averages in the end all almost equaled their averages. It seemed like most of the guys on the PBA in 1980 were around a 210-ish average, somewhere in there. And despite some of those low scores I was talking about, they all right around that average. Nobody was really crazy, even the guys who rolled 300 games, and nobody was really way below that, I remember. So again, that game seems to be, working out. I'm not looking at the replica, looking at the replay, but I still want it to be realistic. Anyway, so that's happening. My next one's coming up today, 15 January. When I say today, 15 January play date. The Brunswick Wonder Bowl in Anaheim, California. So excited to jump into bowling again. Tennis is also was fun. I played the first tennis match with software from, oh, I can't remember. But I bought some software for the first tennis one, and Vilas won the Australian Open just like he did in real life. But I had the men's tennis game, or the tennis game, from Play, so I plan to pull that out for the next tennis tournament, which I didn't mark what that was. I'll have to look that up, but which is another one of my discussion topics I hope to hit today, which is prep. I was listening to somebody yesterday talk about how prep was basically, it was Vinny, talking about it on Visual Dice, how prep is like almost the best part, if not the best part. And it really is. And in this case, I'm prepping constantly. But since these games are reoccurring, I found a way to kind of keep my prep ready, if you will, throughout this. Sometimes, I mean, I have to replace the mats that I use. And I have basically a nice mat for almost every game. And of course, I got to bring out the cards and blah, blah, blah. But I've learned to, like, for golf. I just did a golf tournament, or started a golf tournament. And I'm able to, like, I've got the cards. Just throw them in here. I've got the cards ready, where the guys who made the cut, sitting right on my desktop. So when I get back to the golf, it's ready, semi-ready to go. I don't have to, like, pull it out of my bins and everything. So pretty much anything that's active, I've got kind of set up, ready to go, with a few tweaks. So the tennis was, again, I used a software for that. It was actually, the software was fun. And if I don't find that play tennis works for me, then I may go back to it. The golf, like I said, it just started yesterday. Man, that was I forgot to go on a bowling one. Oh, that was that exhausting. It literally took me almost 2 days to do that bowling tournament. That was crazy. And golf, much quicker to go through a round, but it does take some time. But it was fun to go through it. But it was, in my opinion, and I know what's the perfect way to do this, there isn't. But with the play golf, it seemed very random who makes the cut. And I'm not a gigantic golfer. I know the big names, but it did seem very random. And also, you could have 6 superstars. You put them in like 8 stacks, and you could have 6 superstars in one of those stacks and not know, because you shuffle them up and put them down. And then you may roll dice that only one of those 6 guys go. And then in another one, we had 8 to 10 guys with horrible offers and horrible ratings, and they all make the cut. Again, going back to realistic replays, is that realistic? I don't know. I'm not enough big enough golfer to know if that happens a lot. But as a very outside golfer, am I going to have fun golfing a tournament with guys like, I'm just going to pull some of these names in who made the tournament or made the second round, like Bob Shearer, Roger Calvin, Mark Field, Keith Fergus, I think I've heard of him. Or am I going to have fun with Tom Watson, Jack Nicklaus, those type of guys, Curtis Strain. So that is still out for me to see if I really like this, see how it goes. But I guess the best word to put it is I was just a little disappointed that it was so random. It wasn't based on the ratings on the card, even though there is a pick the top 4 out of it and roll the right dice number. It just didn't seem like, I guess I just feel like they couldn't do it that anyway. Because like with the bowling, you actually bowl it off. I mean, those guys bowl, and it takes longer, but they bowl. I guess maybe I could change it up myself and run them in a tournament, or actually run the golf rather than use their tournament place, their tournament process. It's there for you to use the speed up tournament. So again, I guess I get to figure out the fortune, right? So learning through that. Women's tennis, same thing. I used a game for it, and Barbara Jordan won, who actually won the Australia Open. So it's got one coming up on the 16th. Again, I'll look and see if I can use play tennis. I think the other issue I had with play tennis is finding the tennis players, the 80s season. So there's that. The XHL. Oh my God, has this been fun? For those of you who don't know what the XHL is, it is a card set and a set of rules combo. It's not a game. It is a card set that was released by Play Games, or you use Hockey Blast or Hockey Blast Express, whatever you like to use. And these cards are fictional players. Now, I think if I remember what Keith said, Keith Avalon, is that there are some sprinkled in real names. Again, I'm not a hockey guy, so I don't know all these players. So for me, they're all fictional. Generally, I stay away from fictional games, but I've come to start to like them because you kind of create your own story, and you take out the word realistic, because what is realistic with fictional players? So it's been fun playing that, and 3 games into the season for each team. There are 20 teams. I really tried using AI with this. Oh, what a mess that's been. It stores. This is where I found out really the storage piece wasn't working well. It will one moment come back and give me a great, a great response to the standings, and 10 minutes later, I ask it to update it with one game, and it screws the whole thing. It starts pulling in outside stuff. It starts just fictionally adding games to it. And it's like, oh, and then the stats were like all over the place. And, next thing I know, some guys got 6 goals, and he doesn't have 6 goals, he had 1, maybe 2. And I tried even just basically clearing it out and starting over, and gave it back all the box scores. And again, it seemed like it took it. And then as soon as I try to add to it, it screws it up. So I just have to work on getting those stats. In fact, what I've got to do now, because I haven't done it, one of the little side projects I'm going to have now is to take all those box scores and put them in Mike's tool. The problem with that, and I spoke to him about this, and there's 0 plans to do this, which is disappointing. But I get it. How many people are playing XHL, so otherwise they're going to want to mess with this tool. Because the XHL has different roles. Like I can work in some of it. And I'm hoping I can work in all of it. But you got the 2-point goals that happen. You've got the pregame shootout, which I'm pretty sure I can just work that in instead of a post-game shootout. And pregame shootout, he's got a piece on there for a shootout. So I filled that in before or after. I'm not sure it's going to matter. I haven't tried it. And I'm not sure how it's going to work with the 2-point goals. I don't know that it's going to, because everything in there is so specifically set up with these macros and everything in there that I don't know if it's going to work with 2-point goals. So if it doesn't, I'm going to create something on my own. So again, it's going to be a whole side project for me. For the XHL. Rugby, I know this much about rugby, but I watched a couple of guys play rugby at the Play Convention. I was kind of just peeking and watching, and I was interested. I thought that looked kind of neat. So don't know if this is going to stay on my schedule, but I'm going to try. I've been looking at a few games for this, especially the one I watched at Play. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. But the 5 Nations Championship between England, Ireland, France, Scotland, and Wales happens on the 19th of January 1980. So hoping to recreate that, but we'll see. I've got the Super Bowl coming up, which is going to be a ton of fun. Hope they'll live stream that because that's such a big event. Any of these events that are real big and have the time and opportunity, these are a bunch of things that got to cross together. I'd love to, do a live on those. So that's coming up. If you haven't been following, I did play the conference championships in both Steelers and Rams one, just like in LA. So I used, gosh, it's what that feels like a year ago. Even though it was only like probably 3 weeks ago. I think I used second season for that, but I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I did. The next one is another one that I've been struggling with but want to do. It's the World Rally, the Monte Carlo. Again, this is going to come down to making sure I can find a gear for it, making sure I'm comfortable with it because I don't know that sport. So we'll see. Track and field, same thing. I do have a track and field game. It looks really cool. So I'm going to attempt it here for the No Ropes games on the 25th, see how that goes. The LPGA kicks off on February. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that because the 1980 season I got from play does not include the women. So I'm going to have to look. I've got other golf games, actually PC golf and some others, and see if I can find the 1980 season. GT Racing, another one, 24 hours a Daytona, see if I can do that. Boxing, I've done one boxing, which I think was a mistake really early on by AI because it's the same matchup, unless this was a rematch a month later between Salvador Sanchez and Danny Lopez. I used that title block. I think I used title block, but I can't remember. So this is supposed to happen 2 February. So again, I might have done a preview about but I'm gonna that's the next boxing coming up. Same thing here with the NHRA drag racing. Hopefully I can do that. We'll see. The Olympics, probably one of the big reasons I put this up as a vote as to whether or not it'd be 1980 or some of the other seasons I put up, 30 years I put up. Can't wait to do the 1980 Winter Olympics. Obviously, hockey being right in front of that. That's the first real hockey game I ever watched in the Then I'm 9th grade, and wasn't into hockey at all. But who wasn't into that as a kid? And then after that, I never looked at hockey until I moved to Tennessee. And we're talking just a year ago, Tennessee to the west. Well, I moved to Tennessee regularly. I left Tennessee less than a year. Anyway, I've only been a hockey player for a couple of years, so it's all new to me. Hockey's been new to me. I'm trying to pick up on it. Nashville Predators really got me going, and got me understanding it. I went to 20 games probably. So much fun. And of course, I've been simulating hockey since with so many. I don't know more hockey games than baseball at this point. I've just fallen in love with hockey. But I'm still trying to learn it and learning the names and places and players and stuff. Okay, then finally, Major League Baseball. Oh my God, do I miss this? Baseball, I haven't played baseball in a while now. And spring training starts on the 18th, so I got to figure out what I want to do for spring training. I'm using History Maker Baseball Express for this because stats don't matter in spring training. And I want to use that game. I bought it. Might as well try it. But have never been big about expressing baseball. Here's my 2-minute grandstand on that as to why. I love express games for things that take long. You want hockey balls. Some of the hockey games out there take 45 minutes to 2 hours. Football takes 2 hours. Basketball takes an hour and a half. So express games make sense. Baseball, for me, and I'm talking half of Strat, payoff pitch, season ticket. I don't care what baseball game is. I play inside pitch. So many baseball games. None of them taking longer than that. Let me make sure they call out there. I don't want to forget my favorite thing, which is on deck. time day, baseball. Yeah, one of my favorites. And none of those games take me longer than 15 minutes. I can do some in 10. Not that I'm trying to fly through it. I just know them so well that I can play those games that fast. So do any an express game? I'm express anywhere in. So never really saw the need to express in baseball. For me, I get why people do it. They do it because they want to play the Detroit Tigers for a season and they express all the other. That's what they want to do. Go for it. I don't do that. That's not my style. If I'm going to play a season, I'm season everybody. So again, I think this is where the express didn't come to me, which is I don't care about the stats, first of all, from spring training, he does. And so it'll fit nicely, I think. So I'm probably still going to play out a few games just to play a few games out, especially maybe near the end of spring training. Okay, and then roller derby. I threw this in here because the AI was really like, you gotta do roller derby. And I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I know I think Play has a game for this. I hadn't even looked into this because I know it's way into March before I had that. So, but I'm going to try that. Horse racing. It doesn't start till 29 March. So again, want to try this. I've seen other people do horse racing. Again, not a horse racing fan. Never been into it, but I'm going to try it out. Soccer. Finally, soccer. Soccer, much like hockey, has been something that for me, I've just picked up on recently. And I'm talking more, I picked up more internationally than I did here. So especially England, watching a lot of the England shows. Netflix got me into it, watching different shows on there. And then on the FX, there was the whole, or is still the whole show with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McKinnon and Cunningham, on Wrexham. And then of course, hey, look, Ted Lasso was awesome. And if you haven't watched that show, oh my God, Ted Lasso was awesome. And just some of that ideas got me messing around with soccer. And so I ended up buying soccer again from Play Games. I use the Express for that a lot. And it's just fun to play. A soccer game that I was walking around the whole play.com trying to get somebody to create a season of indoor soccer from back in the 80s. I used to go watch the Cleveland Crunch, I think it was, play indoor soccer. And again, it wasn't into soccer in high school, but watching that game because it was like soccer and hockey arena, and it was so fast paced, and the scores were 10-9, not 0-0. It was fun. It was fun to watch. I got really into it. So if I could ever find that, I would use that as part of kind of a something I'll talk about later, but a classic game. It's pretty much in the 80s. Oh, they're right there with the 80s, 70s and 80s. So anyway, I'd like to play that. But outside of that, I will be starting. This is the NASL, and I will also be playing the other soccer as they come along. I think now that I just look at this, I miss all the soccer from Europe. I don't know what happened to that. It was on there. I'm like, on the schedule again. It is on there. I'm going to have to go back and add that. Like I said, they're playing some soccer shows. I'm pretty sure they took a little break right at the beginning of the year, but I think I missed soccer show. Well, that'll be fun to catch up on. If that's there, I will. What did they call it? The Premier League in 1980? They called it something else. But I think I missed that, which would be nice. I'll go back and do that. Okay, where were we? Soccer. Okay, Indy kart racing. Again, trying to kick that off. During this volleyball then, again, that was an AI thing. I doubt I'm going to be able to find a game and be able to predict this, but I put it on here because you never. I would love to get my hands on a lacrosse from playing. Tried while I was there, never got it. They said they might maybe try to get me one. I had to leave early, unfortunately. I never got the lacrosse version, so um, I think there's another one out there by somebody else. Another, but again, since this doesn't start till 21 May, I haven't really been too worried about it. CFL, excited to kick that off in June. Definitely using grants, 49 quick decks and cold snap for that. College football finished up for me. Alabama won the 79 championship over Florida State. I actually made that game because, um, of course, back in the 1980s and 70s, they just had polls. And it's like, wait a minute, that's what this is all about. So I actually played the game out, and Alabama won. U.S. men's soccer, September 1st from the World Cup. Volleyball, again, don't think I'm going to learn a bit in that end. I'm quite sure we probably played way before that. College basketball, women, it's just hard to find stats, hard to find a game that works with that. So it's in a TBD, but I don't see that happening. A couple other things that I've been considering to throw in and pop up from time to time. One thing is I want like I don't think ESPN Classic started maybe until the mid '80s, maybe even more than that, for sure. Because I think by 1980, ESPN was what, maybe 3 years in at most. But I'm a classic night, and so I want to throw in some classic rematches. You know, it's got to be classic prior to 1980 or it doesn't make sense. So looking at that, to throw those in, be fun. I'd like to live stream those if possible, or at least record those. It could be anything. It could be a baseball matchup, could be college football matchup, could be NFL, any sport. That's listed on my list. Could end up being what I use. So looking at that, I just started listing out some of the other games I have. Like I have dodgeball from play games that I picked up while I was there. May throw that in, fictional dodgeball tournament. Demo derby, that was really fun. We played to play games. So might toss that in. As I said, there's the classic night that kind of covers these. I actually had the XHL in here early when I first started and then dropped it right in. And then, like I said, college football matchups in the past. But nothing stops me from doing anything. Whatever. That's what I love about this. I've left myself an opening to drop in whatever I want, whenever I want. So that's made this project a lot of fun. So that's kind of where I am with that. So I appreciate all the support of people who have, liked and commented on these games as they're going along. I know I screwed up a ton of graphics. Well, I haven't, I haven't, but I'd love to go through. So I'm tweaking AI the best I can to get him to do stuff, but it's a real pain. So as I continue to go through that, appreciate the feedback, continuing through that. If there's a game I'm missing, you want me to toss in here, let me know. Or a sport that I might be missing, that might be cool, or even a fictional pop-up idea. That'd be great. To add to the repertoire in the season, because I'm not in a hurry to do this. I am going through it and having fun, that's that's the whole idea, right? Is to have fun and doing this type of stuff. But a couple of other just little items I wanted to talk about. I think I've AI things enough. I just want to finish by saying, just be careful with it. It is a strong tool that does some great stuff, but it really is like it's like ADHD AI. It just loves to go off on its own, do its own thing, pull in its own reality, and then almost try to convince you that it's right and you're wrong. So just be extremely careful using AI. I've learned a lot using it. And again, I don't think you should be scared away from using it. I think you should play with it, you should test it, and you should, but just verify everything. And for some people, like me, if I'm going to do all that, I'll just do it myself. Do it yourself. I'm not a good graphics person, so I need AI to help me do graphics. I like the way it formats stuff. I have to, double check the text and usually fix a lot of stuff on the text side. So I do that. But it saves me a crap load of time, something like this. I wish it stored stats. It doesn't. So it is what it is. A couple of just side topics that I kind of wanted to talk about. Because I saw this, I think I'm too sure you guys been talking about this a little bit. I think it was Dave Gardner who said this. Talking about dice, I don't know that their subject was exactly this, but it ended up being a discussion for this. He made a great point about this. Dice versus fast action cards versus apps that you can use to like roll the dice. I know I remember what their exact conversation was. They were really looking at dice games versus PC games. That's what it was. But it brings me into this whole topic. It's kind of a sub off of that. First, let's talk about what Dave said that really hit home with me, which was when you're playing a PC game, and I've used these, the PC is, you're clicking and you're telling it what to do. And I'm not talking about stat entry. So like if you're using Digital Diamond or Replay Basketball PC where you're actually entering the results that you rolled, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like Action PC and some other PC-based games that don't allow you to off-game roll and enter the result. That's what I'm talking about. That versus rolling yourself. And Dave said the PC's creating that. I think Dave said, well, I'm going to basically just kind of 50,000 foot overview how my mind took it. Dave was saying the PC's creating that reality. You're clicking the mouse, the PC's creating reality. When you're throwing dice, you're creating reality. And I saw that and heard that in my head. And wow, that's huge to me. So I really like that whole thought process, and that's why we play these games. That's why I have my whole logo, saying is replicas over replay. I'm sorry, replays over replicas. I screwed up the little tagline. I don't want to replicate season if I can get out of the baseball reference. There's a season. I'm done. And just when you fast send something, when you send something, or when you allow a PC to do it, it's the PC's reality of what happened. Well, when you use dice, it's your reality of what happened. I get it. You can get deep into that and say, it's the dice, it's not you. Well, it's as close as you're going to go. And so, to me, those are in your hands, you're throwing them. That's huge. Or if where I was going to come at to talk about fast action cards or what you use like dice apps, like I do. I use a dice app for many different things. But I think they all are the same. So because they're on your desktop and you're flipping through the fast action cards, and you're going through the reality. And I think fast action cards are fantastic because first we went into those with Status Pro Baseball when I was a kid. And I just think with those, it takes away a lot of the charts that you have to go look at. And so getting your dice roll, if you will, the result, and you're getting the charts within those little fact charts. Now, it doesn't mean you're not completely going to, not use charts, but it takes away a lot of it. And I just think that's why I love FAC. So with a game comes with FACs, 99.9% of the time I'm going to grab them. And then a dice app really starts out as, well, you're in a place where you can't be rolling dice. It's too loud. Bother other people. Late at night or in the morning, whatever it is. Or for me, especially, and I know you can. I've got a tower of my own and everything. But even with the tower, it comes down to there, and one of them kicks off, and I'm chasing the dice on the floor. Hate that. So I've really gotten into dice apps. And another reason I love dice apps is because, especially the one I use, which is called, quick picture on screen. Dice app I use. Let's see if I can. So, it's just called Dice. The ICE. It's got a little green logo. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. It's this one right here. It says Dice. But that's what I use. And it looks like this. If you look, what I like about this is at the top you can see I've got bowling up there, play for bowling, for play games bowling. But on the bottom, you'll see these arrows, and I can flip through there's a Stratomatic screen. You just hit those buttons, I can blast. Everything's there. So instead of pulling out dice and looking for dice and which dice do I need, is probably going back to prep discussions, which dice do I need for this game? Everything else I got them all stored in the phone. So all I got to do is find the game, get the cards, get my map, and use my flip over 20. My 3 dice map, my dice, and boom, I've got everything I need. So for me, that's really been helpful, especially since I'm flipping through so many different games here. So I use that app quite often to roll all these things behind me. I have a project, like an F61 project that those guys can pull up. We're on deck. We have one for that. Highlight make the hoops over there. I've got one for everything. I don't use it for highlight make the hoops. Let me get off on a tangent here. That's where I use my tower because and actually roll the dice and everything because that game is so involved with all the little chips and everything and the color coded dice. I could use on there because by the way, you can color code those dice all you want, and I do, to match exactly what comes with the game or whatever I want that makes sense. But I don't know, probably because I haven't played it enough, and I probably will eventually go to the dice app for that. But that is one that I use the dice tower for, and will. But like I said, I probably will flip that. So anyway, just throwing that out there as a little addition to what I talked about on the show today. I hope everybody is having a great weekend. I was off all last week. Spent it all with my grandson. Absolutely a blast. Anytime he was playing, again, a brand new PlayStation 5, so he was playing that a lot. But sometimes he wanted to play a solo game. Come on, man, get some game time. So it was nice to go back and forth and do that kind of stuff. He left late last night, so and I got to go back to work tomorrow. So fun. So looking forward to moving this 1980 project along more. Looking forward to some throwing some surprise stuff, and always good to meet some of you guys. I'm hoping to go to Canton for the Pro Football Hall of Fame APA football thing. I think it kind of seems like it's turning into more of a football thing, and it is APA, if I'm correct, which is good. Not good because I don't like that football. I don't like football. Good because I'm not into one game or one goal. I'm just not. Um, I think there are too many good games out there to play, and so many talented people putting them out that loyalty to one company, I mean, makes zero sense. Zero sense. Because if somebody can explain to me what they get back for that loyalty, to just playing one game, I'm just going to use Apple because they have a extremely, and I played this so much as a kid, and I probably got on 100 seasons, maybe, I mean, close. Let's say on 60, 70 seasons of football, baseball. I don't know basketball. They kind of got rid of that a long time ago. Hockey, and they have soccer. So I have those four games. I think there's four. I have them all. Well, let's just say you only play Apple and you don't play anything else. What's Apple giving you that rewards you for your loyalty? You get a discount. You get free games. But so for me, the answer is nothing. I've never gotten thinking. And again, I'm not picking on Apple. This isn't a pick on Apple. I can get into one on that because I had some really bad problems with shipping. But I still like the game. I still play the game. I just think that's the reason I don't do it. It's not just the reason. I love playing all these other games. But I don't understand the thought process of people who just play one game. Maybe the thought process is you don't have to learn other games. You don't have as much time as I do. I understand that. And so if you don't have time, literally, to learn other games, and so you're just going to play one game, you understand. That makes sense. But for me, with the time, because this is my hobby, and I think this was also talked about in the digital advice. It's my hobby. This is what I do when I have free time. I don't golf. I used to be done, but I don't golf. I don't golf. I don't do anything. I'm boring. I play games, and I love it. That's my passion. That's what I like to do. So I'm not a casual gamer. I'm both talking. I am a passionate geek gamer. If you take a regular day from me, I don't know that there's a day that goes by in the last, unless I've been in like surgery or something. And I think about it even when I'm there. That goes by that I don't always pick out one. At least one. And generally I'm picking out multiples. And because it's just what I like to do. It's, I've gotten away from TV. Some people can sit down and watch a series of something. And all in one day, binge watching something. I binge this. This is my binge. And I don't binge TV. Not that I don't watch it. But I get more excitement and fun out of my gaming than any other hobby I could do. Part of it is I'm medically, I would love to be out on softball, doing some other things, but I have to have another surgery, so as soon as I get that done on my stomach, I can finally, maybe do some other activities to realize there's where I live, and we have a huge gym and use that. But again, because just the circumstances, I turned to this, and and I don't see it changing any time soon. So for those of you who are in the same situation, I seem to be meeting more and more of those people as time goes along. Glad to have met all of you, and hope to see more of you. Again, Canton, and then I think there was one more this year. I can't remember. But definitely gonna get those and try to at least. And go from there. So have a great Sunday, and I will talk to everyone later.